Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Amrinder. A warm welcome to all of you to the second edition of CIO Masterclass, a new community initiative of Dell CIO Club and CIO Association of India. In this special online event, all CIOs, startups, and members of enterprise IT industry can ask any question of their choice to India's most eminent business technology leaders. And we are excited to have with us today Mr. Vijay Sethi, CIO and Head Corporate Social Responsibility at Hero MotoCorp Ltd. Mr. Sethi is the consecutive winner of India's Best CIOs Award for 2013 and 14-15, and numerous other CIO awards. He will share with us his valuable insights on being a CIO for the world's largest manufacturing company of two-wheelers. Hello, Mr. Sethi. It is so nice to have you with us today.
Hi, Amrinder. Good evening. Ajay,
good evening. Sir.
Good evening to all the CIO friends and other friends who are on the call. And before I get back to you, I'd like to just say thanks to Amrinder, to entire CIO Association, Tapan, others, the jury members, even Dell, and all the CIO friends who kind of ensured that I became a best CIO for the last 2 years. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for joining. We are also delighted to have with us Mr. Ajay Kaul to drive this wonderful interaction with our eminent guest, Mr. Sethi. Mr. Kaul has been associated with Dell for more than 10 years, executing various leadership roles with success. And at present, he's the Director and GM for Northern Geo at Dell India. Thanks, Ajay, for joining us.
Okay, thank you, Amrinder. Hello, Mr. Sethi, and hello, everyone on this call right now. Absolutely delighted to be part of this session.
Okay, great. So before I pass it on to Ajay, I request all listeners to use the Q&A app, which is part of the video frame, to ask questions of your choice to our speakers, or you can leave them as comments. I guess we already have a few questions lined up. So let's get it rolling. Over to you, Ajay.
Thank you, Amrinder. Well, Mr. Sethi, let me first start with congratulating you. You are the winner of India's Best CIOs Award for 2 years in a row. I think it's a big achievement. India's Best CIOs are country's most significant community-driven CIO awards with its groundbreaking approach of peer voting. To recognize the best 50 CIOs. These are the industry's only democratic awards wherein CIOs vote for their peers whom they admire, whom they respect, and of course they get inspired. You have not only been top voted by your peers, but judged first among the top 10 case study submissions by a prestigious jury. Now, I want to begin this session with the understanding from you in terms of what is the secret sauce?
Secret sauce for what?
for getting these awards consecutively in a row.
Okay, two parts to your answer. Number one, there's no secret. Yes, there's a sauce. Whether it's a sauce or chutney, I don't know at this stage, but I think there's a recipe. I'll put it as a recipe, but there's no secret sauce. There's nothing secretive about it. The key thing is we need to ensure that if we have to make this recipe of getting the award, all the ingredients have to be kind of in the right proportion as one has to put in a recipe. So let's look at what the kind of ingredients of this recipe are. The first thing, of course, being CIO would be technology.
Right.
What happens in most of the cases is that people do feel that technology is the key ingredient. I don't think technology is the only ingredient or the key ingredient. All the ingredients are as important as technology. So that's the first secret if you want to really use the word secret about it. So technology has to be there because at the end of the day, it's all about technology. But there are various other things that we need to look at. The technology needs to be supported by process, it needs to be supported by governance, it needs to be supported by various other things. But the biggest thing, which at the end of the day has to be that it has to be supported by people. The people, you need to ensure that any technology, that solution that you're putting up, you can't do on your own. So
Yep.
there's a lot of people who are involved. People not only includes your own teams, but your partners, friends, your users, everybody. So all of them have to be part of this entire thing. And when you mix all of them in the right proportion, the recipe that you get at the end is not an IT solution. It is primarily what you get is a value delivery to the business.
Right.
So if as an IT person I can deliver more value to the business, so if the business is investing X dollars in a particular solution or in the IT investments for the organization, if I can get 2x, 3x, 10x out of that,
Right.
I think we are there. Now, while you're doing all this thing, and if I look from our own perspective, as I said, while we give a lot of focus from a technology perspective, but one thing that we keep, at least I keep in mind, is that we are not implementing technology for the sake of technology. So which means that we are not chasing technology that if just because somebody has launched the best software or hardware or any such thing on earth and we're just chasing them. So we don't do that. We first look at each one of them and see where does it really deliver value to the business? Is it really required for us? So even if we may not be on the best of the technologies from technology's sake, but if the entire recipe is taken care, the value delivery that we give to our business would be the highest from that perspective. I'll just give one or two examples from the people part, which I personally think is perhaps the most part of this entire value delivery, because the delivery of the value is coming from people and how the technology is implemented, how it is used, how the people who are using they are supported. So people form a major part of this entire thing. So 2-3 things that we do differently, I wanted to share in this forum. So let me give you 3 examples. I personally run over here in IT at Hero something called special projects. So these are projects what we do in groups of 3 or 4. Most of the groups are size of 4, and sometimes we do take groups of 3. At any time we will have 4 or 5 special projects running. Each project runs for a period of 2 to 3 months, 4 months, depending on the size of the project. It's monitored at all levels, but the title or the end objective of each of these projects is doing something which we are not doing.
Right.
So we are looking at some of those things which we have not done. So we are kind of experimenting. So I have an experimentation budget. So I tell my teams that, okay, you go do these things. If someone wants some bit of money to explore certain things, please do that. So some real good ideas come out of that. So that's one piece. The second, for example, we do something called HTPL, which is kind of Hero Technology Premier League. So we run a competition within our own IT team. So these guys come back with projects and the best projects are awarded, and there are a lot of new good ideas which come up. And again, these are funded in case you need some funding to maybe say create a mobile app or website or anything or some solution, whatever it may be. So the funding is done. So I have, from my own IT budget perspective, I actually allocate a budget which is just for experimentation and things like that. So that's another big thing that we do. The third thing from people perspective again is how do I ensure that the competency levels of people are really kept at the level that it should be. So one is to always provide them with technical trainings, but apart from that, a very different thing that we did recently was running business simulation games. So generally business simulation games are run for MBA people, for marketing people, sometimes in finance people. So we, in association with All India Management Association, we actually ran it for ITT. So there are IT people who are looking at balance sheets, other things. Some of them are not too happy because they said we have never done this. But the end result for me, what it comes is that everyone gets a very good perspective of the other parts of business rather than just about your programs and hardware and software and networking. So that helps in ensuring that when I'm delivering value to the business and I come back to the same end result of the recipe of this not secret but sauce is that they can then give a better value delivery to the business. That's what it is, Ajay.
Right. Yeah, I think, Mr. Sethi, I think provide all of and thoughts provide the team to obviously help execution of all these initiatives that you just mentioned. So I'm sure people on the call would definitely have taken note of a few things that they can actually start implementing in their respective organizations.
Sure.
Moving on, you're leading the Auto Data Exchange, a data exchange platform for Indian automotive industry. It is a first joint IT initiative of two major Indian industry bodies, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers and Auto Component Manufacturers Association, which was also the winning case study for the India's Best CIOs 2014-2015 award. Now, tell us more about this initiative and what has been your personal learning from this whole exercise that went behind this.
So I think if I go back to the value delivery example once again, somewhere the thought also is in my mind that when we are looking at value delivery, we are not looking at value delivery just for our own company, but for the ecosystem. So once one can deliver value to the entire ecosystem, so in our case, for example, ecosystem could be in this particular Auto DX case, all our vendors. Similarly, some of these vendors or most of these vendors could be common with our other OEMs. So if as an industry body we can really deliver value, what it leads to is more competitiveness of the entire industry, leads to better customer service. So that's where this thought process came, that we looked at SIAM, what could be the ways and means of kind of improving IT within all the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers.
Right.
So one of the things which came up was that there's a lot of information which gets exchanged between an OEM and a supplier.
Correct.
We raise orders, purchase orders, they deliver goods, invoices, all those things are exchanged. How can we ensure that this entire piece can be made much more efficient? How can we ensure that the data errors which come in can be eliminated? And over here, we just didn't want to look at just from an OE perspective, but also from a supplier perspective. So a typical supplier, a very good supplier, might be actually dealing with 5, 6, 10 OEMs. So if I look at from their perspective, they'll have to log into one portal, then maybe from someone else they're getting something on phone, from someone else it could be on email, all the information they are getting from various sources. So that's where we thought that if we have to really ensure that we improve the productivity of the auto industry, it cannot be an initiative just by the OEMs. Can we also look at the suppliers? So that's where it was the first joint project between SIAM and ECMA. So I spoke to the ECMA IT team also. Fortunately, from my perspective, I'm the chairman from SIAM's IT group, and we spoke to ECMA's IT group. They were more than happy to actually work, and there's this project that we have taken. And what we have done over here is that the information that's exchanged between this two set of suppliers has been standardized. So we're first industry body in India which has standardized the information exchange between suppliers and the OEs. Okay. So we came up with the standards. So these are EDI standards which have been put. Then the second step was that now can we automate this entire thing? So once we have standardized as to how the data would be exchanged, then we wanted to standardize the entire thing. So that's where we worked with IBM and went on to their cloud, and the entire thing has been put up over here. Coming back to the question that you asked on the learnings piece, let me share some things. I think the biggest learning that came to me, or the way I put it, is there are always, when you work in your own organization, you always feel that you need to do better than your competition. That's always so. You are in Dell, you'll always think that I have to do better than an HP or Lenovo or whosoever your competitors. The difference was that all of us were working with our competitors. And after that initial 10-15 days of uneasiness, the amount of bonding that gets into that is amazing. When you really work with a very diverse set of people who technically may be your competitors, or They may not be your competitor, but some of them are competitors on their own. The ideas that come in are amazing. So each organization has its own sets of issues, its own sets of problems that it has faced. So when you discuss each one of them and come back with solutions, I think it's really amazing. So the biggest learning was that if you really do projects collaboratively, they really do very well. So that's the biggest learning. So we always think that why should I, say for example, work with Bajaj Auto or with any other competitor of us. Over here, all of us are actually working to ensure that this common project succeeds. So it is very, very useful, and that has been the largest or the biggest learning for me. And each of these members, from whether OEs or from ECMA members, a lot of suppliers, they really have contributed a lot on this project.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Sethi. I'm sure the entire automobile industry or the ecosystem would have definitely benefited by virtue of this initiative, and I really look forward to such initiatives in various industries and bodies, which can obviously help each and everyone in the entire industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now obviously if I have to look at peak view in terms of future now, from an Indian context, the future looks to be bright. But currently there is a concern of global economic slowdown and a debate on whether it affects India or not. How this has a bearing on your investments in IT or IT projects that you wanted to drive? So do you see an impact? How are you dealing with it? What is your thought process there?
Okay, till the time you don't take it as part of your ordering pipeline, I can answer this.
Sure.
Okay, I think the fact remains, at least what I have seen in Hero over the last 7-8 years, is that when the times are tough, our IT investments actually increase a lot. So it's not other way around. That's why I said, please don't pass it on to your team.
This one is interesting, please.
So, for example, the last downturn which came in 2008, we started 2 initiatives which were the cumulative investment in that was at least 5 times of all our IT investments till date in last 20 years.
Okay.
So even now, there has not been even a single initiative that we are even considering to postpone or not take just because of an economic downturn. The fact is, on a serious note, I personally think that when the economic situations are not good, all companies are looking at ways and means of doing minimum three things. One is, how do I increase my top line?
Yeah.
How do I increase my sales, the top line piece? How do I improve my bottom line? How can I improve all my profits? How can I cut the costs and things like that? And third is, how do I improve productivity of the organization?
Yep.
And the fourth associated piece is, there are a lot of times when there are economic downturns, there are a lot of people in the organization whose morale might not be very good. How do I ensure that the morale of all these people is good?
Yeah.
Now, if you step back and look from an IT perspective, the fact is that IT can play a huge role in each one of them. So during these times, especially when the times are tough, if the organization, all other CXOs, whether it is a CMO, whether it is a purchasing officer, whether it is an operations officer, CFO, or anyone else, along with CIO, if they can work on ways and means how IT can really help in improving, say, customer service or a customer delight, that might help us in improving our sales.
Right.
What can I do within the organization where all the redundant activities that are being done, or the activities, very simple, can I cut down my paper cost by say 50%? Can IT help? Sure, why not? Put so many workflows and remove the entire thing. So how can IT help in improving the bottom line? If a process, say a customer facing process or your internal process is say taking 20 minutes, can I make it, or in some cases some approvals might take 2, 3, 4 days. Can I use IT to cut down the entire time to say 1 minute or 2 minutes? How can I improve productivity? What else can I do with my employees to engage them more? The fourth pillar. If IT can work on each of these, it really helps the organization. None of
Right.
this will come without investments. So if the company feels that during such times you are reducing your IT investments, you are killing on all the four opportunities. So the fact is, if it is economic downturn, from our perspective, from our team's perspective, it means more work.
It's surely a music to ears, and let me tell you, this is completely contradictory to the way a lot of organizations behave during these times. But at the same time, it's highly informative, and I'm sure again people on the call are taking cognizance of your thoughts around this. So again, thanks a lot for sharing these insights with us.
Sure.
Yeah, right. Actually, Saras shared a very refreshing perspective to what we usually hear, and sometimes media also hypes it up. But I'll take this opportunity, and I want to ask very quickly to Ajay that when there are concerns on the economic environment, how can Dell help its customers, do more with less? Just share some thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. So my thoughts are also aligned to what Mr. Sethi just said. In fact, I personally believe that with every challenge, there comes an opportunity. So during times like these, it's a time for companies to really introspect and get an opportunity to check whether there are any laggards in their system, in the whole IT setup, which are preventing them or which are adding to some inefficiencies anywhere. So this may be a time when there can be a lot of consolidation that can happen, and with the pace at which the technologies are changing, it gives them enough time to figure out where there are any areas or this scope which they might have not been able to look deeper in the earlier times. Now, it may be around the data center, it may be around the overall management of the way you manage the IT. You may have silos in different parts of the country from where IT is currently being managed. So we help a lot of companies in terms of one, looking at doing some kind of audits, which may be a data center audit to figure out whether the data centers are running efficiently or not. Not only that, we also have tools by virtue of which we can make lives easier for the IT folks by ensuring a seamless management of the entire IT setups that they have. Maybe heterogeneous environments that they might have accumulated over a period of time. And and most importantly, I think this is the right time when we work with customers on deploying solutions that are scalable, that are flexible, and most importantly, provide a seamless integration with the existing setups that the customers have. Because end of the day, if there isn't capital investment that has been made, it needs to be protected at all times. So to me, this is the best time when we work very closely with customers, and we provide a lot of insight to customers in terms of how they can make their overall IT environment a lot more efficient.
Correct. Just to add to that, Amrinder, the fact is that when you're doing good, when the economy is doing good, everyone is kind of happy. There are a lot of inefficiencies in the organization which tend to get either hidden or overlooked. No one cares. Till the time
Right.
my top line is growing at whatever level, why should I be bothered about these inefficiencies? When the times are tough, you look at each and everything and then come back that, can I be better?
Right. Right. That's true. That's good. Ajay, you want to go back to the next question?
Yeah. So yeah. Thanks, Amrinder. I think this is a good view of what can be done and how we can turn challenges into opportunities. So thank you for stepping in. Back to you, Mr. Sethi. Obviously, we cannot have a CIO discussion today without touching upon the IoT of things or getting digital. So, how are you using these technologies within your organizations? You want to share some examples with us?
See, we in IT field are, and you're part of that same field, we are actually used to coining new terms every few years or few months just to keep things exciting. So whether it was SMAC at some time or IoT or M2M or other things, I think we do keep on coming out with new terms. And the key thing, as I see on each one of them, if I look at digital first, is a digital is worth chasing if it is really helping the business.
Right.
Don't chase the digital for sake. Don't really go in for that just because someone has made 20 mobile apps. I also need to mobile apps, and it's not adding any productive value to the organization. So what we do is we have been a firm believer on usage of digital, whether it is social media, whether it's mobility, analytics, cloud, in a big way over the last many years. I always quote this that perhaps as per IBM, we were the first company in India where we moved their Lotus Notes onto mobile phone way back. So our mobility days started long back from that perspective. Analytics perspective, we do have a formal war room, which is a huge room of the size of maybe a 20 feet by 20 feet with screens all over and all powered by analytics where one can look at various screens. So there's huge focus that we give on digital, but with a caveat that each of these digital ensuring someone in the organization uses them. They're not being done just for case studies in some of the magazines. So that's digital. So digital, there's a huge focus that we give. IoT, if I look from automotive perspective, there are two key things in IoT. So which is primarily that you need to look at what are you really wanting to pick. So the two key initiatives, one is as they call connected factory, other is connected vehicles. So how do you really get data from a vehicle, or you can you put sensors in your own organization? When I say connected factory, it's actually connected office or whatever you may call it. But so how do you pick data from various points in your organization and then do something to ensure that either the costs come down or whatever analysis you need to do, that's taken care at real time.
Right.
Just to give you one or two examples of what we have been doing, and one is of course normal example that a lot of the companies today do in India is putting up GPS on your trucks and you're monitoring all those things. So that's one piece. But we recently set up our factory in a location called Neemrana. So what we have done over there is the technology that we use for monitoring the entire humidity of the entire factory. We put in sensors all over, so which pick up data. This entire temperature, pressure, humidity, other oxygen level, and few other parameters are monitored real time by an organization sitting in US. So it's a kind of operation center or network center, as you may call it, somewhere in US, and the entire thing is monitored over here. So we have sensors. Then from within our own factory perspective, we have put in a lot of sensors and other stuff to look at energy and things like that. So we do look at many of these technologies very seriously and then see where do they help us. So both digital and IoT are on our agenda. We've been working on digital for quite some time, IoT for the last 2-3 years. Even IoT term was not coined. Most of the companies were working on GPS, but IoT, the term has been kind of gaining ground over the last 1-2 years. So this connected factory, we are also in the pipeline of putting up a few more, I'll use the word pilots at this stage from IoT, including some things on what we can do for our vehicles and all that. So that's primarily more into cars, but how does one look from a two-wheeler perspective? There are a lot of thoughts that are underway at this moment.
Sure. So, which other new, say, technologies or technology trends, for that matter, do you believe will be the game changers in the enterprise IT as we move forward? Because whatever has been done, and I know that with your leadership, you've been kind of ahead of curve on not many areas that we've discussed. But moving forward, what do you think would be the real game changer in the enterprise IT space?
See, there are a lot of stuff as I see from enterprise IT perspective which would change. And one of the key reasons, I'll come to technology in a minute, but one of the key reasons as I see which is driving this change is our working population today.
Right.
So they want everything digital. They want it in a different fashion. They want to ensure that how can IT help me in automating my stuff? How can IT help me in doing my day-to-day activities? What more technologies can I use? So there's absolutely zero, if I can use that word, zero fear of technology. What it used to be years back, earlier, that will it lead to a job loss? Will it lead to something else? But it's now other way around, that how technology can really help me in improving my job.
Right.
And once you get into that, which means that your workforce itself is pushing you more into digital. So whether it is social media, I think social media, to my mind, is one technology which is not being used fully in most of the organizations. So putting up a Facebook, putting up a Twitter handle, all those things are good things that one should be doing. But social analytics, how do I use big data analytics to take more decisions?
Right.
All those, sorry. So all those decisions will really need to be taken, and for that, big data analytics, which is a lot of people are using big data analytics, but again, more from a sentiment analysis, more from some targeted analytics. But that's one technology, if used properly, can play a huge role. Even even a lot of partners, vendors, consultants also don't have really great experience over there. Most of the organizations also don't have great experience over there, and we need to really work on that technology in a big way at this moment. So that's one. Now coming back to analytics, again, analytics is kind of, we are scratching the surface from a normal analytics perspective also, so one can really get into that. Cloud, cloud over here, now I'll say that clouds are on earth. So it's not cloud is somewhere in cloud, but clouds are really, there are real clouds over there, and people are taking a lot of steps. The initial apprehensions that it's all, there are security issues, there are other issues. So I think most of those apprehensions are taken care in today's time, and people are, and cloud, to my mind, would change the IT landscape, especially for a country like India, in a big way. For a simple reason that when we have, say, a lot of MSMEs, small and medium enterprises, who may not be able to afford a lot of big data centers or a lot of applications, cloud gives them that opportunity to look at it. So moment that entire ecosystem is automated, it has a cascading impact on all the organizations. So that will play a big role. Some of the other technologies, if I look at M2M, machine-to-machine communication, to some extent, yes, it's there, but I think to a limited extent. Augmented reality, again, to a limited. There's time 1-2 years back when there used to be a lot of hype about AR. Today, it's kind of there, but not there. One thing which, the last thing that I'll say is, which is gaining ground in a big way, and which will help the organization, especially organizations like us, and automotive industry or many other industries, is where you use technology in design. How can technology be used in ensuring that your time to market is cut down drastically? So if you take, say, 3 years from the concept to launch of a product, can I cut it down to 3 months, 6 months? And where I personally feel that when you get into virtual designs, when you get into virtual prototypes, it can really help you in cutting down, number one, the time, and also equally importantly, cutting down the cost. Because when you're doing a project, instead of 3 years into 3 months or 6 months, you can iterate faster. The customers today want a new product very fast. They'll not wait for 1-2 years for the new product. So I personally think that the usage of technology in R&D, and there are tons of new things, whether related to CAD, CAE, simulation, various other stuffs on virtual and things like that, which could be a major game changer for industry.
Right.
Thanks, sir. This is a great perspective. Just to close on Ajay, would you like to also share which are the technologies which you are excited with? You know, which are the latest technologies you want to, which you're showcasing to your enterprise customers?
Sure. So I think you know, I would like to spend a few minutes on the IoT or the Internet of Things. You know, and logically, if we look at it, it is just an ecosystem where sensors, equipment, and products are connected to a network, and they can transmit and receive data for either the tracking purpose or analysis, and basis that you can take a particular action. Now, this is what in totality IoT is all about. And honestly, if you ask me, I don't see moving forward anything that touches human lives where IoT will not be, connected in some way or the other. It may be like bringing IT to the physical or operations technology world, like as the lighting systems, medical technology, and the industrial automation processes for that matter. So it will eventually cover every aspect of the things that we do. At Dell, at a global level, we have formed a division which is bringing together the end-to-end IoT solutions that obviously span from hardware, software, and services. Its first product release is a gateway designed to help customers kickstart their solutions, development and begin realizing the value of IoT immediately. This gateway is robust enough for the rigors of current projects and can be also leveraged as a proof of concept for use with the future specialized Dell gateways. Now, if you look at it this way, currently, like Mr. Sethi said, they've been practicing things around IoT even before IoT term got formed. Likewise, the scope of IoT is very vast. It is actually overly ambitious, if you ask me. And at the same time, the implementations can be very, very lengthy. The complex proprietary designs, can raise a lot of risk and cost. So one has to be very, very sure in terms of, creating a stage-based approach, and then looking at what part needs to be prioritized and what can follow, and there has to be a roadmap to the entire chain. So Dell customers can take advantage of the analytics solutions that we provide today. The span gateway data center as well as the cloud, which finally leads to the analytics-driven actions, helps customers a lot because I believe in the world that we're currently in. The data analytics will play a huge amount of role. The Dell portfolio combined with a rich partner ecosystem, deep vertical and domain expertise that we have, along with a collaborative approach, enables us to provide a complete end-to-end IoT solution. So, at this point of time, we are working with a lot of companies to see how do we, get these solutions enabled. But if you ask me to summarize this, it is not a kind of buying a particular equipment and your story or your issue will resolve. It's a journey. It's a journey, but the sooner one makes a beginning around that, the better it is, and we can help on the scope front, on the execution front, and obviously with the latest technologies which are available in the market today, it becomes a good model that people can follow.
Okay,
Correct.
Thanks, Ajay. This is really good to know. I think we will change gears now, and there are a lot of questions from the audience which Mr. Sethi has to take up. And I think we can do a bit of a rapid fire to manage the number of questions and the time we have. Okay, so here is one question. What is your one word of advice to aspiring CIOs? Do they need to master technology or business or managing projects or the art of crystal balling?
None of them.
Sorry?
None of them.
None of them. Okay.
The only thing that once you become a CIO, you need to keep in mind is that you're part of the C circle or C suite. So which means that your job is to ensure that whatever you do, company's objectives are met or surpassed. So if you are at that stage chasing technology, so if you're trying to master technology, I can assure you that you'll never be able to master technology because technology changes so fast that you can never master. If you want to get into becoming a project manager, then you please go back 20 years back. So why become a CIO? You remain a project manager. Why get into all that? So the only one advice that I'll give you that if you really want to become a CIO is change your mindset. Come out of IT mindset.
Okay, that's very good to know. Ajay, you want to add something to it?
No, absolutely. I so completely agree with Mr. Sethi. I think when you are at that leadership position, I think you need to first behave like a leader. You know, your thought process and the vision that you share with the rest of the folks has to be delegated in such a way where you don't get involved in the job that somebody else is supposed to do. So this helps you recover some time that you can obviously put on to some innovative areas and further look at inefficiencies or other areas innovative where you can really invest in time into, which is very, very critical to the business. See, my last submission would be that today, unlike earlier times, it is not the IT requirement which a CIO is supposed to look at it today. It's a business requirement. You know, if a business is supposed to open further branches, if a business is supposed to open a new business altogether, you know, you have now a customer who was predominantly into retail now coming into banks. So how does the whole shift change, and how do you enable that business from an IT standpoint is something that a CIO needs to think today.
Right, that's right. I think this is a fair amount of advice for the aspiring CIOs. Mr. Sethi, on a similar note, you are on the board of one of the joint venture companies between you and another organization in Italy. But we don't hear of many other CIOs who are on the board of companies. So how can this change in India in the near future?
So it comes back to the same point. Once you start thinking that you are not part of IT but part of business, things automatically fall in place. If you always think that you are IT, then you will remain in your data center.
Okay. Okay. So, there is one more question which I believe Ajay also wanted to ask you, and one of our viewers has also has asked. Maybe I'll take the opportunity. So he says, Abhinash says, in your industry, you deal with you deal with a with a large number of partners and vendors. So how does the CIO look at alliances and partnerships today? What are the new engagement models emerging, and what role does IT play in it?
So this is partners and vendors from industry, not from IT perspective.
Right, generally, the organization partners.
Yeah. So for example, the thought process behind AutoDX, which I was telling Ajay earlier, is that if I look at that, if I need to improve my efficiency or competitiveness, it's not just about me, but about my partners also. So that's why this project is not just at Hero MotoCorp, but for all our OEMs also,
right?
All our suppliers also. Which means that what if the mindset is that I cannot do everything alone, but I have to grow with my partners, the perspective changes, and that's what we have tried to do over here. I can tell you, maybe there are at least 15 to 18, maybe 17 or 18 odd suppliers of ours, whose IT heads, CIOs, whatever they might call, there are a lot of, you may call them. A lot of them come to me and share their IT plans, get a guidance as to what they need to do. And only reason why I spend time with them is because I know that if they improve efficiencies at their end, if they improve productivity at their end, finally it helps me, my organization. Because if their costs come down, they'll supply the goods to me at a lower cost, and that helps me and then my customers. So if we think that the partners here, one needs to work collaboratively with our partners, then the entire perspective changes. From other perspective of partners, which is our dealers, so we have all of them, all our dealers and even the tier 2 dealers, all of them are on a single system which is maintained by my team. So all of them are running. So while it at the dealer end, it helps them to standardize their processes, but look from a customer perspective, it really helps them, each customers, to have a standard process, whether you are buying something in Mumbai or whether you're buying something in Kolkata or Delhi, and it gives you, really reduces your cost of transaction. So if we look at, and that's our philosophy, that when we are doing business, it's not that only our organization is doing business, but all our ecosystem, whether at the dealer side or at the vendor side, they're part of the same family, and all of us are in this together. The third kind of partners that we have is more for our design partners, and so we have a similar philosophy over there also.
Yeah, so if I may just add, I'll give my perspective as well.
Sure, Ajay.
So there are 2 points that I want to make. First is that if you look at the relationship as a pure vendor-supplier relationship, it will remain at that. it will become a perspective of a commercial discussion, and whosoever is lowest, that's it. I think it has to be looked at more of a partnership relationship. And my belief is that when you sell what customer wants to buy, compared to what you sell, what you want to sell, the whole paradigm changes.
Correct.
The second point that I want to make is that if it is a short-term relationship, it can never be based on a long-term strategy and vision. And I think that is one thing where I would really urge all the CIOs and people in that space to look at partners and provide them a vision in terms of what is that they want to achieve in the next, say, 2 years or 3 years or whatever the long-term strategy is, so that you become a part and parcel of that ecosystem rather than a supplier. I think these two things can really help and create a harmony between both the parties.
Correct.
Thank you. Thanks, Ajay. Okay, sir, we have another question on BYOD. How beneficial is it to implement BYOD when you cannot have absolute control over emails?
Again, the answer is very simple. Why do you want to do a BYOD? If you feel that you're doing BYOD just to reduce your costs, then I think you're chasing the wrong objective. BYOD is never done to reduce costs. So if I do BYOD, that I don't want to buy laptops in my own organization, but I ask my employees to bring their own laptops because I want to save my capex cost, it doesn't work. Why am I doing BYOD? Am I doing BYOD because maybe each one of them wants to have their own kind of laptops? Or I'm just giving an example, laptop, it could be any other device. What is the objective? Or is it that as an organization I can't provide them with this kind of variety? So if we are clear on why we are doing BYOD, only then it will be successful. Why it's not successful in most of the organizations is because most of the CIOs or other IT people always want to chase BYOD as a means of reducing their capex. And that creates problem both at the end user end and at the IT end.
Okay, that's a good insight. Okay, so the next question we have is this is interesting, and some of you might be aware that Mr. Sethi was also the head of HR function a little while ago. So Senthil is asking, I'm seeing a trend of HR professional services are getting into IT portfolio. Is it an industry trend?
HR professionals getting into IT or IT professionals getting into HR? It's all
no, HR operational services getting into IT portfolio, is it an industry trend?
No, so there's nothing called industry trend. I personally don't know what industry trend means. But the fact remains that, as I was saying earlier, once you are into C-suite, then you're working towards the objective of the organization. So whether you're working for an HR piece of it or whether you're working on CSR as I'm doing today along with IT or various other things, it actually, beyond a point, the rules of the game are same.
Right.
So it doesn't make a major difference.
Okay. And sir, how did being the head of HR help you become a better CIO, if I may ask?
I came to know a lot of secrets about HR. So then I could change myself accordingly so that I remain in good books of HR.
Right, that's a good one.
On a serious note, the biggest advantage of that stint in HR that I had for almost a year was that the amount of connect that one has with employees in HR is very high.
Right.
When you have a connect with the employees, we really then, instead of being just a professional connect, it becomes a personal connect.
Right.
And that helps you from an IT perspective provide better services. And from a human being perspective, then you look at various people from a very different angle. So then that person, so Amrinder for me is not the Chief Involvement Officer of CIO Association, but Amrinder is Amrinder. Then I'm relating to each person as an individual. And once I start getting into this, you actually evolve personally a lot. So while there were benefits from a professional end perspective, a lot of them, but at a personal end, it gives you a very different perspective of the organization. And that has helped me a lot.
Great, sir. That's very good. You've always been very kind and sweet to all of us, and it's always a pleasure to interact with you. So there is definitely a very good HR side. Great. Okay, from HR to getting too quickly to ROI. So we have a viewer who's asked, how do you measure ROI for an ERP implementation?
See, ROI, to my mind, if I look at ERP implementation, the thing is very simple, and I have very clear views on ROI on ERP. A lot of companies want to justify ERP by saying that this will help us in reduction of inventory by so many crores, or by reducing so many people, or consolidating and removing so many positions, or all these things. I personally don't buy any of those arguments. I don't buy any of those arguments. As I see an ERP for an organization, and I'm talking of slightly larger organizations, so I'm not talking of MSMEs, but I'm saying large organizations, 1,000 crore plus, or that, or 500 crore plus organizations. It has to be the lifeline of the organization. So it's say, for example, if I'm right now sitting in Delhi and one has to make a road between Delhi and Gurgaon, you don't get into ROI. You know that if it doesn't happen, then you can't really go there. So ERP somewhere in today's time is a lifeline of an organization. If you don't have a single version of the truth for data, for example, you can't do anything. All your even financials would be wrong. You can't do anything. So if you want to justify an ERP just on ROI by putting in all that I'll save 20 people over here, 2, 3 over there, you may do it initially. But when you implement ERP, chances are that all those calculations are wrong. Each one of them is wrong. It might actually lead to maybe increase in manpower in some areas, for example. But the intangible benefits that you get out of an ERP implementation are way, way beyond that any tangible calculation of ROI that you may do. So from an ERP perspective, I'm not a firm believer of ROI, but in the same breath, I can also share with you and with other members of the group that we are perhaps the only company in India which makes a formal annual IT report.
Okay.
So we have been doing it for last 4 years. So there's a 4th year that we are doing it. So it's a 30-odd page document that we prepare. So it's not that we don't look at the delivery to the value delivery of any of IT investments, but specifically from ERP is not the right case of ROI.
Okay, this is very insightful. I hope this helps the person who asked this question. Yeah, right. That's a good one. Ajay, there is a question for you. In case of project not getting successful, how to manage the partnership with the business partner and the stakeholders?
This can be a tricky question, but I will try to keep it simple. You know, the fundamentals of any agreement has to be very, very strong. You know, when I say that, I think there has to be a clear demarcation of what the scope is, what is the roles and responsibility of the partner as well as of the business, and both have to be inked, between both the stakeholders completely. We do a lot of projects in the government space. We do a lot of projects in the large SI space, and what we ensure is that one, there is a complete visibility internally in the system that has been provided from a finance standpoint, from legal standpoint, from exposure and risk associated to that RFP or that bid. Now, having said that, there is second part which is important is the clarity of scope. That is absolutely a mandate to ensure that that scope is clearly defined. Believe you me, if tomorrow that the partner has people who have signed that agreement or not, but if that agreement is there in place, you can go to any extent to ensure that deliverables are completely taken care of. So all I would say is that it just takes the basic things to be in place. I don't think any reputed company or any reputed business or any reputed partner who is there for a long-term, game will get into any kind of such thing. The only word of caution is what we need to ensure is that before you start partnering with a partner, in your organization, we need to ensure that there are quick checks that are done in terms of the credibility of the partner, the people who manage the show in that partner, premises and so on and so forth. If those things are taken care of and the agreement and documentation part is taken care of, I don't think such situations should arise.
Okay, thanks for sharing this. I think we have almost run out of time. We just got 3-4 more minutes left. In fact, we have overshot. So maybe the last question to Mr. Sethi. Your organization, Hero MotoCorp, has always been very active with its CSR activities. We've had great programs from your company such as Ride Safe India, Hamari Pari, and Happy Earth. You've recently started a book donation drive. So what is the thought behind this initiative? And how can CIOs and other viewers who are watching this Google Hangout today, how can they contribute to this program?
See, as part of my CSR responsibility, there are few areas on which we focus. One of them, what we call is an E2. E2 is education to empower. How can we use education to empower those people who may not have the right wherewithal to get educated? So where we actually target underprivileged kids from various sections of society. In some places, we are also targeting people who are into the kids who are into child labor and all that. So one of the things that we thought in this particular case was that while as an organization we are doing whatever we are doing, but can we also involve our other employees, other stakeholders, also general community? So that's where we started this book drive around a week back, because each one of us will have a lot of books at our home. The kids go from class 6 to class 7, but we really keep the books of class 6 and all those things.
Right.
And many of these cases, these books are in actually good conditions. So we might maybe at the end of the year give it to some Raddiwala at 2 rupees or 10 rupees a kg, and that's the end of it. But there could be a lot of people or a lot of children who would need these books, who don't have even those 10 rupees or 20 rupees to buy that book. So over here, what we have done is that if people have books which are in very good condition, which happens in a lot of cases, then we will be collecting these books. We are already tied up with an NGO, so we'll be giving to orphanages, various other underprivileged kids. So we right now, for example, are supporting roughly around 15 to 20,000 girls over various in various states. So the books would go to many of them. The books will go to various orphanages, and that's where we said that let's involve community, because a lot of people say that they want to contribute to this cause, but they don't know where to do and how to go about it. Right. That's where we started this book drive.
Right, that's good. So that's a very good special message for all the listeners here, that they can participate in this book drive. I think I had taken your time till 5:45. It's almost close to 6. There are still some more questions, but maybe we'll keep them for the next edition. That way I'll take commitment from both of you to come online again. And thank you so much. It was a great learning experience for me as well, and for our viewers. Any last remarks you gentlemen want to share? Please go ahead.
Ajay, you want to go ahead? Should I?
Yeah, so you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I'll just say 2-3 things from my side. One is, of course, thanks to Amrinder, Tapan, and the entire CIO Association of India and Dell for organizing this. For me personally, it was a great experience. Thanks to all the viewers all over who have been kind of patient enough to listen to my views, which may not be really in consonant with what most of the people would think, but I appreciate they spending 1 hour. The last thing that I would like to say to all the people in the IT community, and I'll go back to what I think you started with, or Ajay I think started with, the so-called secret sauce perspective. I think I'd just like to end it over there, that each one of us as a professional should deliver value to the business. It's not difficult. It's not easy either, but it's not difficult. It's not difficult if we really follow the right recipe, if we don't chase technology, as there was in one of the questions that should I master technology and things like that. If we don't just chase technology, but we give equal importance whether to technology, whether to processes within the organization, whether to the entire governance, metrics, and of course the people. And people is not just the IT team, but also all your other stakeholders, your customers, your vendors, and your own employees. So if we give a real good focus on each one of them, we can really deliver value to the business. And if we deliver value to the business, it doesn't make any difference to IT team whether times are good or bad. So your IT budgets or your IT manpower or all those things would continue to grow the way you want it to grow. But if you don't deliver value to the business, then please don't ask for anything more. So my request to each one of you would be, to all the listeners, would be that let's just focus on value delivery to the business. Don't focus on chasing technology.
Okay, that's a very good point. In fact, sir, throughout this whole Google Hangout, you have shared very contrarian, very refreshing viewpoint, which were unexpected, and I think that's the value add which we have got today.
Thank you.
Ajay, your quick to.
So, Aminder, first of all, thanks to you and your team for enabling this entire session. And secondly, thanks to Mr. Sethi. It's always pleasure listening to you. And every time I hear you, every time I get a new perspective of things. And let me tell you, you set the bar for any CIO very, very high. So you're doing I mean, as a CIO or as a leader, what you do is any which way is appreciated. But apart from that, the CSR activities that you do is something which is really, really worth appreciating. So thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and being part of this evening today. I'm sure I'm equally excited and pleased to be part of this show as much as our friends and the other respective people will be on this call. So I just want to say thank you, and how soon can we get back? Please tell us. I really enjoyed this session. Very, very insightful and very encouraging.
Thanks, Ajay.
Okay, thanks everyone. Sir, you spoke about the ecosystem. You spoke about trying to support everyone, and I think that's exactly what Dell has been doing. At CIO Association of India, we've been very happy and very lucky to engage a lot with Dell. They are very, very supportive with all our initiatives. They are concerned more about what is it for the community. And this Google Hangout is a community initiative part of Dell CIO Club. So I want to thank the Dell leadership team, the Dell Enterprise Marketing team, to be a great partners. And we will keep the engagements going on. Sir, there are viewers asking about how can they connect with the E2 program. So I think I'll personally connect them over email with you, and you could take it forward. So thanks everyone. We would love to continue, but I think it's almost 6. It's more than 6, and there are other engagements with Mr. Sethi and Mr. Ajay Kaul has. So thanks everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Amrinder. Thanks, Ajay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.